Kurdish officials in northern Syria say they are working with Damascus to fend off Turkey's military in their region. In a political and military shift, Kurdish-led forces are to deploy side by side with Syrian government troops in the Kurdish-controlled region at the country's border with Turkey. Now, the deal was announced after the United States ordered the withdrawal of most of its troops in Syria. U.S. forces were supporting the Kurds in the battle against so-called Islamic State. But U.S. President Trump announced their withdrawal last week, opening the way for Turkey to launch its operations. Now, Turkey sees the Kurdish fighters in the region as terrorists and is aiming to create a safe zone to resettle Syrian refugees living inside Turkey. Let's get the latest now with Dorian Jones joining us from Istanbul. Good morning, Dorian. What are you hearing about the agreement between the Kurds and Damascus? Could Syrian government forces soon be deployed in the north of Syria?
Well, we're not hearing any details on the precise arrangement. In fact, there hasn't been any official confirmation by Damascus that a deal has been struck, other than that they are deploying forces towards the border with Turkey. They are believed to have moved into the town of Kobani, or right on Turkey's border, very strategically important. But the understanding of this deal is that they will ultimately secure the whole of Syria's northern border with Turkey. But as I said, there is no details on what the details of how this will be carried out. But I think the understanding is that the Syrian Kurdish forces are accepting that they are now falling under the control of the Damascus regime. In fact, one statement from a prominent Kurdish leader said that we don't trust these people, we're very unhappy, this is a very bitter pill to take, but the alternative was genocide. And I think that gives you an understanding of the situation they found themselves in.
Okay, well, what about Turkish officials, Dorian? Well, what are they saying about this development, and how might Turkey respond?
Well, there's been really any official announcement or reaction from Ankara yet. I think they've been taken aback by the speed of developments. They expected this to be a prolonged battle, and possibly further weeks down the road, the Kurds would probably reach out to Damascus. The fact this has all happened in days, in a matter of hours, in fact, the situation changed, I think, has taken them in the back, and they are now in a very difficult position of recalibrating what do they do. They're now facing a prospect of facing off against Syrian regime forces. That brings the prospect of a possible confrontation. But at the end of the day, they are aware that Moscow is backing Damascus, and Moscow is seen as a very important ally for Turkey in this region at the moment. So a very difficult situation for Turkey, because Turkey's original plans of securing the border, well, Damascus will say that has been achieved. But beyond that, their ideas of resettling millions of Syrian refugees, that's far from clear now, whether that will be able to occur.
We're getting reports now that at least 900 Islamic militants being held by the Kurds have escaped. Can you tell us anything about that and the threat they could pose?
Well, this is all in a camp that was very near the fighting, and it's understood that yesterday there was an uprising by many of those in the camp when they heard that the Turkish forces were moving close. Now, they saw, obviously, this as an opportunity to escape, given that they know the Syrian Kurds were very much now on the back foot and facing defeat, and they seized that opportunity. Now, it's understood that many of those that escaped are believed to be foreign nationals. They are meant to be family members and sympathizers of the jihadist group Islamic State. And this really is causing alarm among the international community, given the fact that there are about 12,000 Islamic State militants held by the Syrian Kurdish forces, and tens of thousands of other family members and sympathizers. And I think that there will possibly be relief that if it is true that they have reached an agreement with the Damascus forces, that they will now take over control of these camps, because there was a fear that these could all escape, and then it could lead to the restarting of Islamic State in the region, which has been a very painful battle to defeat.
Dorian Jones, thanks so much for bringing us up to date from Istanbul.